And welcome back to the AIBC Summit, where we're speaking to some of the greatest minds in the AI, NFT, Web3 space. Right now with me, I have Juergen Hoebarth.
Okay, it's called Juergen Hoebarth anyway. No worries about that.
NFT.Art, but Juergen is an NFT OG. I mean, literally going back to the first NFT
Yeah,
days.
I can give you an idea. So, like, one of my actual business partners, he pitched me NFTs back in the early days.
Okay.
And I was not really getting the idea, to be honest, because it was very technical back in the days. But for me, like, this concept of digital assets was existing. And I have to be honest, like, when we talk about fungible tokens or non-fungible tokens, my personal opinion is that non-fungible tokens technically will have a much larger impact as the fungible tokens we're having.
Okay.
To be honest. For explanation, fungible tokens are like these typical tokens which we know, like Ethereum or like whatever.
Anything that really works like money, sort of thing, that you can trade one for another without any issue.
Versus non-fungible token is something like which is famous now, like a CryptoKitty, a Bored Ape, or like a Punk, let's say it this way.
Okay.
Or 𝐃𝐨𝐬𝐬's NFT collection.
Yes, his V-Friend collection.
Yes, exactly.
On that, and do you own any of those? In the sense, any of the ones you mentioned?
Funny enough, so I got approached in the very early days when CryptoPunks launched.
Okay.
And as I have a background, which is also a little bit from an artistic perspective, I was not seeing the value from an artistic value. I understood it from a concept. I don't purchase one, to be honest.
Okay.
Which maybe I missed out on it, but you never know. Same thing with Bored Apes. I had for some time a Bored Ape.
Okay.
But I found them like, yeah, it's interesting, but it's not my kind of taste. I have to say, like, as I say, for me, the concept of art in this space is more like when an artist is doing something like a real on-chain art.
Okay.
Stuff which is, for example, on art blocks, because that utilizes the medium at its full potential.
All right.
So for me, it's like if an artist, and I mean, I collect some artists in Europe, which is a different market, but mostly what they do, they use an existing artwork and make a picture and tokenize it.
Okay, yeah.
I don't find that too interesting because that's like a little bit like misusing the medium. But if you talk about real on-chain art, that's an interesting concept.
Okay.
And also to, like, you know, using it, I mean, I have always to say we're in a digital space. We're talking about metaverse. But what I'm kind of looking for is like to see like artists which are generating basically three-dimensional artworks.
Okay.
In a sense where I can immerse myself. I mean, I have a very strong vision what I would like to see. You can imagine when you have the Oculus, for example, then as an artist, there are certain tools which you can use to literally sit inside the painting and paint around.
Ooh. Okay.
So you imagine, like, for me, there's like I did this as an experiment. It's still online, and literally you imagine it as an art collector. You can sit inside your own piece of art, which someone else collected.
Okay.
So that's a complete different. That's for me like the ultimate goal. How I would like to see this concept of virtual reality. I mean, maybe even with an influence of AI, that the artwork is basically interactive, generated each time it's changing based on data or whatever.
Oh wow.
And that, I think, fully on chain, for example. There's a complete different concept what art is, but for me, this is where the medium gets used at its fullest.
So essentially, where it starts affecting all your senses, and
yes, it's like literally like you know, like this effect which you had when the first time you tried VR. It flashes you, and it's like a drug. So I don't know, most of the audience maybe has experienced the Google Cardboard.
Yes.
So the first time is like that's a good experience. Then you go like to Oculus One, and that's a good experience. Then you go to an Oculus 2, and that's a good experience, but you cannot go back.
Yes.
It's similar to, you know, once you had the normal screens on your computer, and then you have like the high definition ones, you cannot go back. And for me, this is where I technically see all these things are going.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, everyone speaks about NFT, art, metaverse, but no one has. There are some artists which are doing it, but I think as it's such a new form of medium, it's not really there now. I mean, now if you talk into NFT related stuff, there's definitely on-chain art, which is popular. Like, and then we have at the moment like AI art. I mean,
generative.
Yeah, generative art, artificial intelligence art. So like, you know, it depends always what you want to do. But for me, this is a very interesting way, because I think what we were seeing, or what we are needing to understand, like if someone uses Photoshop, for example, it's a tool.
Yeah.
And all those filters are just tools.
Mm-hmm.
The same way is like all those AI image generation tools.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are now at GPT-3. I think next week or in 2 weeks is coming out GPT-4,
yeah.
which should be a quantum leap even there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just recently, most likely you hear about it. Well, new jobs are generated, like prompt engineers.
Yes.
I mean, it's a very funny thing, like a prompt engineer. But I can imagine it as for me, like I have a creative background, so I did multimedia and design. But I'm a person, I can use the computer to design something, but I cannot draw.
I know exactly what you mean.
So this is very strange, and I see like even my wife, she's very good in drawing, but she cannot use the digital tools.
Yes.
Which is very crazy. I mean, I met some like there's like an artist in Austria. He's called like Primal Cipher, and it was very interesting. So he was having a career as he was doing restorations in churches.
Okay.
And he was very craftful in the sense of how to do things. And suddenly he bought himself an iPad, and within 2 months, that guy was one of the best early stages kind of art NFT guys, which I kind of appreciated it. But you know, in the NFT art world, let's say this way, sometimes it's not only about talent, it's also about reach. And I think we have very strongly seen the NFT space, funny enough, is led very strongly by American community. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
But I think that has to do with influencers and all that kind of stuff.
I think there may be an element of the whole the NBA top
yes,
shots.
NBA top shots
Sort of gave people an idea of what's happening, and because I mean, had it been, I don't know, FIFA releasing something there, it could have been a completely different story. But it was just because it was so American focused. I think that was the initial.
That spawned literally. You were saying ferocious, for example. Also to like there's in Europe like 𝐒𝐿. I don't know if you know him. Is Italian artist.
Okay, no.
I know that guy like a very long time, because there's also to something which is called this designer art toy movement. You know, like where all these core figures are.
Yeah.
And like this universe, and they are coming out of that universe. Funny enough.
Okay.
But they were very early, kind of participating in the NFT universe. And what for me was interesting, particularly. The first environment all those kind of artists were hanging around was back in the days CryptoVoxels. I mean, now it's called Voxels. It's more like a open source community-driven project, which personally I kind of favor. But from a market perspective, I think they lost their they lost their kind of appeal to the mass market, because it's a little bit nerdy, to be honest. But for me, it's like we just recently had a discussion, like there's one project which is from Josie Bellini, I don't know if you know that, like Cyber Brokers, and she's literally like part of the early stages NFT people. And there she was at NFT in New York, NFT in Paris, the conference, and everyone was like, oh, that's interesting. So there's something which maybe, you know, like products like, as they're called now, they're blue chips. The blue chips, they have a very interesting thing. And I think the feature, for example, or the utility of a Bored Ape is a completely different nowadays. So basically, I see Bored Apes or like the punks. It's kind of signaling into the community who you are and who you have been. And I'm seeing, let's say, some of the conferences, if you go, this is like your brotherhood. It's literally something like that space is so fragmented. And, you know, like in a traditional business environment, I have gone to the same school. That means something.
It's your new Yale, it's your new Stanford.
And now it's basically like, okay, if you have a punk, it says something about you. And even if you have a punk for a long time, it says much, much more about you.
So what if you've just done a punk ordinal?
I have to be honest. I had even pitch decks in the early days from ordinals on my roster to invest. But for me, ordinals, to be honest, I think they will have a niche market. But at the moment, it was only about who does the first inscriptions, who has the lowest inscription numbers.
I see.
Which is like a very weird game in my sense. And then people were literally just like using existing intellectual property, which they were just deploying to get early inscriptions. I mean, the first inscriptions were per piece, I think, $1,000 to $2,000 to do an inscription. Now we are down to $30 per inscription. It's definitely a market which has a potential. I mean, we were seeing like Yuga Labs jumping on it. which maybe.
I was just talking. I think it was to Arvin about we just were mentioning ordinals, and the one thing that I just brought out is Bitcoin is one of the few chains nobody really hates on, except some maybe ETH.
Yeah, but how often? When did you start up your last time your Bitcoin wallet?
Oh, that's true. That is very true. That is very true.
So.
But I think I personally think there could be a movement that way, because in the sense most people do own Bitcoin in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
And they're not going to be against it. I don't think it's going to be the norm for everybody to be on that, because I think a lot of other chains will offer more utility.
I think it's about the functionality and the utility. So for me, like if saying it like a Bitcoin ordinals, if you compare it, it's like you can have if you have a canvas, you have a different form of canvas. It can be linen or it can be special paper. And for me, it's just another medium of transport.
Yeah.
And I think some of the, let's say, artists, maybe when they're saying, okay, I'm particularly only doing ordinals because there's a certain philosophy to it. But just using punks and putting them on, I think that doesn't really trigger me, to be honest. Or doing another 10,000 PFP style collection.
And I mean, there was that whole thing about the burning of the apes on ETH and moving it over to Bitcoin.
Yeah, but who initiated that? Was it the ape community? I don't think so.
No.
So that's someone
so
who has
so is
minted.
that person now an outcast?
I would not think. I mean, we have punks version 1s. I don't know if you're aware about them.
Oh, no.
So there's a story about the CryptoPunks. Basically, they were deployed already on a contract earlier.
Okay.
But the contract had an error.
I see.
So, but there's still people trading CryptoPunks V1.
I see.
They're still existing,
Okay.
which is funny.
Would you say they're part of the community or not?
Those people which are pumping on
Ladies and gentlemen,
Bitcoin.
please join us at the 𝐒𝐿𝐬 Lounge for a meet and greet
Okay, what's
with
that now?
Gary V. Get your tickets
Okay.
now.
Don't worry, we'll cut this bit out.
No worries.
All right. Okay. So
Ordinals.
yeah. So just on the ordinals. Okay. So they might be the ordinals might be sort of like an interesting thing, but you don't think it's. I mean, the future of NFTs.
First of all, literally, most of the people know I still own only one Bitcoin at the moment.
Okay.
And this is like one Bitcoin, one Lambo. Which means if a Bitcoin is at $250,000,
You're out.
I'm like selling that Bitcoin. Okay. To be honest, I mean, you know me. I'm an 𝐒𝐿𝐬. So.
Yes. No. Fantastic.
No.
Where? So I'm because we do need to wrap this one up. But before we do, where do you see NFTs going in the next 12 to 18 months?
I think there will be different verticals in the NFT space. Let's call it this way. We have seen, like recently, for example, in Dubai was art fair, and NFTs are already an existing component of a traditional art fair, which is very nice. But that market segment is like in a high price segment, or more like low pro art, which are new artists. So we need to understand this is not mass market per se, but so is not buying Damien Hirst is technically not mass market on a global scale. It's not like Coca-Cola. Then definitely, I think we have seen it like as memorabilia, like in sports space, like sports clubs. We also to see it now, like all the streamers. So I think it can be kind of a form of virtual merchandise. I could see it.
Okay.
This is just like more like to build your own profile.
Yeah.
But then there are other use cases. I mean, I'm involved in a project at the moment where we try to figure out how to do more stuff with digitals. Because there are certain items where people are interested to trade them, but it's a little bit tricky to safekeep them. In a way, it's let's say it's about expensive sneakers. Yeah. It's about if you have expensive rare wines, rare wines. I don't want to keep them in a special cellar or whatever. I prefer them they're somewhere in a free port or whatever. And there's a way how to also to collect them. These are interesting concepts. Then definitely, I mean, you come out of the gaming space. The gaming space, I'm thinking NFTs will be a component of it, but it's not like this is now the new NFT game. It's just like now as a game engine is used or as a payment processor is used, there's just a functionality into it. So
that's it.
Because the end user does not really care about how it functions, but for you as a developer, you have a proper inventory management system which is so interoperability with different other things where others can build on. I mean, the funny part is today someone was mentioning, oh yeah, like Fortnite doesn't like NFTs. Yeah, but EA Sports didn't like Fortnite as well in their concept. So for me, Fortnite is literally working now, but I'm assuming there will come one which is then basically where Fortnite is EA and the new one is the new one.
Exactly.
This is how I'm seeing when you are long enough in the industry that you understand that as well.
Yeah, no, the challengers will take their time to get there,
Completely.
but when they do, it's an open game. Yes. So just one last thing before we do close up. It's been your 4th or 5th or 6th AIBC Summit?
5th or 6th. I forgot about it.
What has made this one special so far?
It made special because it basically follows me where I'm moving.
Ah, okay. So it's on home turf this time.
Funny enough, it's on home turf. Yes, normally I have to fly from Hong Kong to Malta. Somehow we met now in the middle because I live in Dubai and you guys were moving as well to Dubai and 2 things here. So that's very interesting.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Juergen, very nice having you here. Again, a very old friend and an amazing mind. If they want to learn more about what you're doing, where can they go?
Normally on Twitter, like follow me like Juergen Hoebarth on Twitter.
Okay, fantastic.
That's where mostly I'm ranting.
Oh, brilliant. Well, guys, thank you very much. We will be back with more of the amazing minds from the blockchain, AI, and Web3 space very soon.